Biden. The country's a mess. We're a laughingstock all over the world. Under the Trump administration, you were better off. Your family was better off. Your neighbors were better off. Your communities were better off, and our country was better off. The whole country was better off. America was stronger, richer, safer, and more confident. And it's not even close. When I was behind the beautiful, resolute desk at the Oval Office, and it is a beauty, I will say, it's no wonder the same corrupt forces that have been fighting us every step of the way are now breaking every rule and shattering every norm in a lawless attempt to keep us from defeating them at the ballot box. Nobody's ever seen what's happened right now. And it's a double-edged sword, you know? It can happen the other way, too. It's never happened, the weaponization of justice, like they're doing right now. The DOJ is very corrupt. What they're doing is very corrupt. People aren't going to take it. Joe Biden is a threat to democracy. He's weaponizing law enforcement for a high-level election interference. It's all about election interference. And I don't even know if it's him, because I think he's grossly incompetent. But he's surrounded by people that are fascists and communists, and they're vicious, and they're very smart. For example, as I was landing for this visit, I was informed that the corrupt New York State Attorney General Letitia James, corrupt person, is now and New York is going so bad with the crime, it's like you can't even walk down to buy a loaf of bread. Letitia James, a real bad one, is now demanding that I pay $370 million in penalties where I did absolutely nothing wrong. My financial statements, you've been reading about it, are great. They're great. The man who did the check of the finance said one of the best financial statements I've ever seen. My financial statements are great. And they're very conservative, just the exact opposite of what the highly political and totally corrupt New York State Attorney General was trying to say before she got to see my statements. She ran for office on a, I will get Trump. Did you ever see her? I will get Trump. I will get him. I'm going to get him. I'm going to kill him. I'm going to get Trump. If a Republican ever said that, they'd have him put in jail for insurrection. She and the judge fraudulently valued Mar-a-Lago in Palm Beach, Florida, which is probably the greatest home in America by far, at $18 million. Now, it sounds like a lot, but it's not, because it was good for their narrative doing that, and it was fraudulent for them to do that, when in fact it's worth 50 to 100 times that amount. We had people come in $1 billion, $1.5 billion, whatever, but it's a very valuable property. But they said, the judge said it was $18 million. I had people call up, I'll take 5. They never use the New York State statute. They have a statute that they use. It's vicious, vicious. They never used the statute for this before. I was not allowed a jury. I had no jury. It's up to a judge who comes out of the clubhouses of New York. Think of that. How would you like to be in that position? There was no victim because the banks made a lot of money. Good, great loans. The banks testified. In particular, one bank testified, great, great. Everything was great. There was no default. There was no damages. There was no nothing. Only a very happy bank that got 100% of its money back, and in addition to getting its money back, made tremendous profits. This case should never have been brought. It should be in the commercial division. The rig judge would not let it go. That he wouldn't allow it to leave his side. He took it, and usually it gets sent in because of its complexity, although it wasn't complex because it turned out to be very simple. The statement is phenomenal. They said the best statement he's ever seen, and should have never been allowed to be presented to this judge. It should have gone into the commercial division like all other cases like this, but he kept it, and he's a radical Trump hater. He hates Trump, like with a passion. I guess, I don't know what it is. He has a passion for hating Trump, and I should have never been gagged. They had a gag order. They wouldn't let me talk. I can't talk about certain very important things, much more important than people understand. The judge ruled that I was guilty before he even started the case. In fact, I got a call, sir, you've been found guilty. I said, no, the case starts in 2 weeks. I know, but he found you guilty before the case starts. Other than that, it was an extremely fair case. Now the corrupt AG just announced a little while before I walked into the doors. So, if you don't mind, I was a little bit angry when I walked in. Did you notice the anger? Maybe not. But the corrupt AG wants $370 million as a fee for what I did, and I did nothing wrong. Nothing. $370 million, which is much more than any loan, much more. That was peanuts. This is weaponization at a level that nobody's ever seen. So violence is out of control. People are fleeing New York. Businesses are fleeing New York. Car thefts are up 191% in New York, 191%. They should pay me, but it's prosecutorial misconduct, and it's a DOJ witch hunt because it's in total coordination with Biden's deal. So they're charging me $370 million fine for making a very small loan that the bank wanted to make, because that's what they do. They loan money, and they love my statement. They're like me. But I borrowed the money for that reason. The bank wanted me to, but you know, they are in the business of loaning money. That's how they make money. And it was a great loan for them. They got all their money. They actually testified. There was no default during the term of the loan. I actually paid the loan back early. It was a great loan. I'm very underleveraged. We have great cash, great everything. Built a great company. And these fascists, what they're doing to our country is just unbelievable. So I did nothing wrong. It was in every way, it was like a perfect, the bank was so happy. They testify, no, everything was good. Same thing with every other thing. They were looking at things. $370 million for doing nothing wrong. I took a loan, I paid the loan back, and they charged me $370 million, which I guess is more than 2 times the loan, something like that. But as a very intelligent person just stated on Truth, New York AG Letitia James has decided to increase the amount she wants from Donald Trump in civil trial. Initially, she requested $250 million, and he did nothing wrong. Did nothing wrong. They only want to hurt us because they don't want us running for office, because we're leading Biden, Crooked Joe, by a lot, and this is all this is. This is a terrible intrusion into politics and into our way of life. But now she wants $370 million, and she wants it fast, and it's a disgrace. I've never seen anything like it. I hope everyone can see this for what it really is. This is the gentleman writing. He goes, this is nothing more than a shakedown of a leading candidate of her opposing political party. She thinks she's going to make hay with Washington, but this is a coordination with the DOJ. The DOJ is doing this case with them. In fact, they moved one of the top political operatives from the DOJ in Washington into the DA's office and into also the Attorney General's office. How would you like to be me? You think my life's a lot of fun? Our founding fathers would be turning in their graves if they could see this. No American should be okay with a political party being weaponized against their enemies. This is not democracy, he says. This is not constitutional. This is wrong in every aspect, and the judge and the AG should be arrested and punished accordingly. And how much longer can we allow this to happen in our country? Well, thank you very much. As you know, we consider this an unconstitutional witch hunt. It's election interference at the highest level. It's a disgrace. It's in coordination with the White House and Joe Biden, because you can't win a campaign fairly. And we're going through it, but it is indeed a terrible witch hunt. We're going to have a news conference a little bit later on. As you know, I want to speak. I want to make the summation. At this moment, the judge is not letting me make the summation because I'll bring up things that he doesn't want to hear. And it's a very unfair trial. Nobody's seen anything like this. I don't think they've ever seen anything like this. We have a situation where a statute was used that doesn't give me a jury, so I have no jury. I really have no rights, and it's and nobody thinks it's constitutional. People, legal scholars are writing about it like it's something they've never seen before. So it's interference, it's political interference, and it's something that shouldn't be allowed. So I am hoping to speak and to help my lawyers reveal all of the defects of this case. It should have never been brought. Very, very strong financial statements. They thought it was the opposite. They had no idea because I'm a private company. Then they saw them knock their socks off. They couldn't believe it. But great financial statements. Everything is good. We have a level of detail in our defense that nobody's ever had. This is a case that should have never been brought, and it was brought. And it's very unfair, and it's very bad for New York State. Companies are fleeing. People are fleeing. The streets are crime-ridden. And Letitia James, that's all she thinks about is get Trump. She's been dreaming about it for years, and it's not the way a state should be run, because this is a state that's been in big trouble. You have all the businesses fleeing, and you have the people fleeing. The people that pay taxes, people that don't pay taxes are coming in, so that's not what you want. So I want to thank you. We're going to have a news conference today around, we don't know the time, we'll notify you, but sometime in the early afternoon at 40 Wall Street. So we'll give a news conference where we can actually speak and have a microphone here, because even that they don't want us to have. They really don't want us to speak too much. So we'll see whether or not the judge allows me to speak. Perhaps he won't, but I certainly would like to. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I just had a very good session. The lawyer said that there was absolutely nothing done wrong. These were all great loans. The bank got the loans. They got paid. The banks were in perfect condition. The bankers were extremely happy with these loans. They made a lot of money with the loans. There were no defaults. There were no problems. This is just an attorney general that hates Donald Trump and wanted to run for governor, or wanted to run for attorney general. And it's a shame. I think she should be criminally liable for this. She did this to Exxon, and they drove Exxon out of New York. Exxon paid billions of dollars of taxes. They're now living in Texas. Exxon is very happy in Texas. Other companies, because of what's happening here, are going to be moving out of New York also. This is an out-of-control attorney general. She's totally out of control. These loans were all good. The banks were extremely happy with me. They still are. We built a great company. We have a company that's very liquid, very strong, great assets. And she sued me because she wanted the publicity to run for office. They find nothing wrong. And I think if anybody was being fair about it, and I'm not sure you can even hear me because they don't allow microphones over here, which is a little ridiculous. But if anybody's fair about it, you see this is a case that should have never been brought, and I think we should be entitled to damages. Thank you. I'll be back.
Mr. Trump, what's your reaction to your name being removed from the Trump list?
Good afternoon. Let's remember that before I walked into court, we had already lost. That was clear with his motion for summary judgment. Before witnesses, before experts. And do I think any of it mattered? I certainly hope so. But for anybody that was in the courtroom for the last 11 weeks, you heard that there was not one fact against President Trump. There was not one piece of paper that showed anyone committed fraud. And don't forget that Section 6312, a consumer fraud statute, has been wrongfully used against my client, innocent defendants, the organization, and every employee of the Trump Organization, which has single-handedly changed the New York skyline, including the building we are in today. These are special properties. Real estate is an art, not a science. But you know what else is an art? You know what else isn't a science? Political motivated individuals. She's using this to paint a canvas that Donald Trump is a fraudster because they can't beat him in the polls. They can't beat him in the polls, so she ran on Trump because that was the only way she could win. And now, today, after 11 weeks, after 3 years, we have concluded that he indeed committed no wrong. The Trump Organization committed no wrong, and the kids have been dragged in just like the other defendants, and it is wrong. America needs to step up, and there's only one person who can do that, my client, Donald Trump. President Trump, everybody.
That historic hearing showed that one voice, supported by the American people, can set off an earthquake and a reckoning and help save our country. We cannot give up. The life of our country is at stake, and as we all know, the closer President Trump gets to victory, the dirtier the Democrats, their stenographers in the media, and the corrupt prosecutors will get. They will stop at nothing, and I mean nothing, in their attempt to steal this next election. We saw Democrats baselessly impeach President Trump twice. They indicted him 4 times for non-crimes and are trying to bankrupt him and destroy his successful business. In my home state of New York, far-left Democrat New York Attorney General Letitia James, who campaigned on going after President Trump, she teamed up with an unethical Democrat Manhattan judge to unconstitutionally impose a nearly $500 million penalty on Trump for the victimless non-crime of paying back banks in full, on time, as agreed, with interest. It's corrupt. And the left has gone so far as to desperately try to remove President Trump from the ballot. Why? Because Joe Biden's approval is in free fall, and they want to take away the vote from you. Meanwhile, you have the corrupt Joe Biden crime family lining their pockets from illegal influence peddling schemes, the Biden crime family. Yet Democrats in the media like to pretend they are saving democracy. But it's the radical left and the Democrats that are destroying democracy. But we cannot let them, and we won't let them.
Mr. Trump, how are you feeling today?
Mr. Trump, is your family coming?
Where's Melania, Mr. Trump? Donald, where's Melania?
All right, thank you very much. I just want to say before we begin, these are all Biden trials. This is done as election interference. Everybody knows it. I'm here instead of being able to be in Pennsylvania and Georgia and lots of other places campaigning. And it's very unfair. Fortunately, the poll numbers are very good. They've been going up because people understand what's going on. This is a witch hunt, and it's a shame. And it comes out of Washington. It's in coordination with Washington, everything, including the DA's office. It's in coordination with Washington. I just want people to understand that this is done for purposes of hurting the opponent of the worst president in the history of our country. Second of all, we have another trial going on right now. That's Letitia James. She campaigned on the fact that I will get Trump. I'm going to get Trump. And it has to do with a bond of $175 million. First of all, she doesn't want me to participate with financial companies in New York. So we have a company, I guess, based in California. It's a bonding company. And I put up $175 million in cash. But she says the bonding company's not good. She doesn't like the bonding company because she doesn't know if the collateral is good. And I put up $175 million in cash, and she's questioning the bonding company. Well, when you put up cash, and the number is 175, which is what we're supposed to be putting up, but I give it in cash, she shouldn't be complaining about the bonding company. The bonding company would be good for it because I put up the money. And I have plenty of money to put up, but nobody is going to be putting up with this. Nobody is going to be listening or coming to New York anymore. Businesses are going to be fleeing because people are treated so badly. It's got to be the most unfriendly place to do business, and that's why businesses are leaving and people are leaving as migrants come in and take over our parks and our schools and everything else. So on the Letitia James case, she's the worst attorney general in the country, by the way. On Letitia, and she keeps a lot of business out of New York, and businesses that are here are leaving. And that means jobs and a lot of revenue. Somebody's going to step in. The governor or somebody has to step in and do something because your businesses are fleeing. But on Letitia James, the money was put up. It's $175 million. And I don't think she's complaining about me for the first time ever. She's complaining about the company. But why would she be doing that when I put up the money? So I just want you to know that that's taking place in front of an extremely crazed judge. Who's the most overturned judge in New York State. He was overturned 4 or 5 times on that case alone. That's, you know who it is. I don't have to mention names. I want to be nice. I want to be very nice. But a thing like that, and a thing like what's going on right here should never be happening. It's a very, very sad day in America, I can tell you that. Thank you very much.
We just left court in the civil division with the other witch hunt with Miss James to come here and see our client. The fact that we have two courts, not one, criminal and civil, being used against one man because they cannot beat him in the polls is a disgrace to the American judicial system. He should not have two teams of lawyers here today. He should not even be here today because he did nothing wrong. It is the epitome of a witch hunt. I just left where a judge asked us whether our cash bond, cash, sitting in. Ms. James wanted to argue and say that our cash somehow isn't green enough. We wasted time. The judge made a comment saying he thought that money market accounts could go down under the amount. He doesn't even understand basic principles of finance, but this was the man that decided that we owed money and my client committed fraud. We are going to attack every single one. 1 hour, the Attorney General and that judge realized quickly that they had no idea what they were talking about. We came to an agreement that everything would be the same, we would modify terms, and that was it. This is where your taxpayer dollars are going, America. Right here. Witch hunt after witch hunt. President Trump's company was worth more in that case than it is now. And now what? We're here because of something that happened when he was in the White House that wasn't even wrong. It was not wrong. You hire lawyers to solve problems, lawyers solve those problems, you pay them. That's it. This is a joke. It's an affront to the American Constitution. It's an affront to our judicial system. And it's an affront to every lawyer that cares about their license, that cares about what is right and wrong. I am sick of coming in front of the press and saying this, but you have to because you people need to understand what is going on. God forbid you put an accounting thing in for legal counsel. It's legal counsel. And now our taxpayer dollars, my time, our attorney's fees, are all here because they're afraid of 2024. And you know what? They should be, because the American people are not stupid. They see what's going on. Thank you.
Only one question.
Trump stand